Tom Brady spoke on the Chiefs' chances to three-peat. You might be surprised at what he had to say. Steve, let's talk about it.
We're all chiefed up and we're back with another podcast for that ass. Please hit that like button for us and also hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers as quickly as possible. Mike, what did Tom Brady say about the Chiefs three-peating, baby?
Tom Brady cautiously optimistic on the Chiefs' chances of three-peating. He says it's a big challenge. It says if Tom Brady can't even do it, he's skeptical whether anyone can. He says to put three of those together in back-to-back-to-back seasons with drafting last, a very hard schedule, all of the turnover in free agency, and guys continuing to be motivated, it's a big challenge. Brady said this on Monday's The Herd with Colin Cowherd, Steve. He said there's not a 50% chance of that happening. They're way less than that. Those players are going to show up every day. They're going to have to put in the work like they have. However, he wouldn't exactly be surprised. He said that's not to say the Chiefs couldn't accomplish that. Believe me, everybody would probably put them as an odds-on favorite to do it, he says. He then goes on to say they have a tremendous coach in Andy Reid who doesn't ever look back. They were great last year. They're going to be great again this year, and you can pause it and read the rest. He goes on to say Mahomes is good, Travis Kelce's good, and they've got Spags, Chris Jones. Steve, it sounds like to me Tom Brady is not completely off board with the idea of a three-peat.
It sounds like to me that Tom Brady thinks the Chiefs can three-peat, but
yeah.
He can't put that big old ego aside for 2 seconds to say, well, I couldn't do it, so that means somebody else can't do it. I think everyone knows that the Chiefs were a great team for the last 2 years.
Yes.
And I think they know that they improved this offseason. And if these guys stay motivated, like Tom Brady said, and keep that goal in mind, I think this team could definitely achieve that, even though it's never been done before.
100%. He said they've got a lot of great pieces, but to win it all is going to be a momentous task. Steve, nothing is a momentous task if you have Patrick Mahomes back there, because he is the greatest.
The greatest.
The greatest.
The greatest.
The
of
GOAT
all time.
Quarterback of all time, Steve. And I'm here on board to say I put the Chiefs at least a 50-50 shot of doing this again, because with Andy, Travis, Patrick, and Chris Jones, baby, sky's the limit.
It is. And I think Tom Brady knows that. And I think Tom Brady acknowledged that. Like I said, he just couldn't set his ego all the way to the side because he's Tom Brady.
He's Tom Brady. Moving on.
Hear ye, hear ye. It's time for Beyond the Kingdom.
Oh, Beyond the Kingdom, Steve. Hear ye, hear ye. This is a new segment where we're going to go outside of Kansas City, outside the Chiefs, take a look at the NFL world, and bring you some stories that may or may not be on everyone's tip of the tongue. So we're going to start it off with this one, Steve. 2 women accuse NFL kicker Brandon McManus of sexually assaulting them on a Jaguars flight to London. It says a pair of flight attendants who were on the Jaguars September 28th flight to London last season have sued the Jacksonville kicker Brandon McManus and alleged that he sexually assaulted them during a trip. McManus, who now plays for the Commanders, says nothing. He says he just smirked and he walked away. They then go on to say the lawsuit was filed in Duval County. $1 million in damages is what they're going for. The Jaguars declined to comment, according to ESPN, while McManus 32 hadn't released a statement as of Monday afternoon. Steve, what do you think about Brandon McManus getting a little touchy-feely out there, doing a little whacker Deshaun Watson out there?
You never really know, right? There's some crazy people out there that do dumb things. But the thing about it is there's also people out there trying to money grab. So this could very well be a non-story, but you have to look into it. You have to look further. It's not one of those things where you're like, oh, well, it was sexual harassment, so we automatically have to believe it. No. That's not how we do this. You're innocent until proven guilty. So when they show me that Brandon McManus actually did something, then we'll talk about it. Until then, I don't blame him for smirking and walking away, unless you come to find out later that he actually did this stuff, and then that's kind of creepy, right?
Right. Matt Ariza, our punt god right now, just dealt with this. They almost took his career away. It went to a court of law. It got dropped. So we're going to see. I'm not going to discredit the women. You're allowed to come out and come forth. Let's investigate it. But until then, let's let the facts come out. If he did something wrong, Shame, barred from the league, Steve. Here we go. Another news. Offensive lineman Billy Price, the Bengals' 2018 first-round pick, retires due to risk caused by a blood clot. It says the offensive lineman Billy Price, a 2018 first-round pick of the Bengals, who played 5 NFL seasons, announced his retirement because of a risk caused by a blood clot. He said, in the blink of an eye, everything can be taken away from you. That's what he wrote on Instagram. He said, on April 24th, I had emergency pulmonary embolism surgery to remove a saddle clot with that was entering both of my lungs. And he said he was a healthy 29-year-old, and unprovoked pulmonary embolism with no further medical explanation is terrifying. I'm truly thankful to be alive today. Unfortunately, I will be retiring from the NFL as the risk of an internal bleed while on blood thinners creates tremendous risk, Steve. We hate the Bengals. This is a sucky story.
Yeah, for sure, man. I hate that for any person that has put all that work in and got to the top. He's in the NFL, and then something like this has to happen, and it does suck. But like he said, thank God he's alive. Nothing bad, anything worse happened than it did. And he knows this now. He's assessed his risk, and he says, hey, it's time to hang it up, man. And it does suck, but I think it's a good decision by him.
If I'm not mistaken, when we draft Trey Smith out of Tennessee, he had something, it wasn't an embolism, obviously, but he was taking medication or something, maybe blood thinners. There was something to do with him not being able to practice a lot at Tennessee, if I remember correctly. Thankfully,
well, there were definitely medical reasons that why he dropped in the draft. So the Chiefs got him really late and stole him in the draft because of medical stuff.
So as much as we hate the Bengals, obviously nothing's more important than being healthy. So Billy Price, congrats on the retirement, I guess. Spend the time with your family. Steve, last story of the day. NFL Rookie Watch tweets, Keon Coleman is built different. Multiple NFL scouts reportedly believe Keon Coleman could finish the season with better stats than Stephon Diggs. The Bills found their wide receiver 1. How delusional to think Keon Coleman, and you were a Keon Coleman truther during the draft. Do you think he's going to finish this season with better stats than Stephon Diggs?
Absolutely not. Do I think he can get there one day? Quite possibly. I did think Keon Coleman was one of the guys that could be a solid X receiver in the NFL long term. He's a great player. His college tape was fantastic. He's explosive. He can do a lot of different things, Mike. And I think he went to a good position. He's playing with now Josh Allen on Buffalo, where he could potentially be wide receiver 1, get the most targets, do the most on the field. But I just don't think you can say right now, before he's ever played an NFL snap, that he's going to have better stats than someone like Stephon Diggs. That's absurd.
Yeah, these are the same fans that clipped Xavier Worthy dropping one pass in his first rookie minicamp and said that they fleeced the Chiefs. Keon Coleman, nothing against Keon Coleman, but the dude could barely get open in college. He runs a 4.61 or something like that, has to drop out of the first round. I think it's a little premature, and I know it's fan bases, hyping fan bases. That's what everyone does. But it's a little crazy to come out and be like, he's better than Stephon Diggs. Like, come on. Okay, but that's going to wrap that one up. Let us know how you like that segment down in the comments. And Steve, moving on. Kelvin Joseph, baby. Chiefs OTAs, former Cowboys second-round pick, draft pick, making plays in practice for KC. On Wednesday, first play 7-on-7 during practice, Kelvin Joseph caught Chiefs Patrick Mahomes pushing the limits. The play resulted in interception for Joseph, who has worked almost exclusively with the second-team defense to this point of the offseason. However, it's important to remember that workouts are voluntary at this point, and players often jump around based on who is in attendance. Steve, we've been talking about the DB room, man. Who's going to replace L'Jarius Sneed? We drafted Kamal Hadden. We had Nick Jones drafted last year. Najee was looking good last year, and he hurt his knee. We've got Jalen Watson. We've got Josh Williams. We have got an incredible group of DBs back there, and everybody kind of forgets about Kelvin Joseph, who Dallas fans think he was a bust because he was a second-round pick and didn't really pan out. Steve, is Kelvin Joseph going to push to make this team?
Absolutely think he could. Mike, we know a lot about Kelvin Joseph. That's a Kentucky boy there.
Yes, sir.
We watched him in college. He was good in college. I think that the Cowboys kind of picked him where he should have went in the draft. He was around a second-round draft pick. A good player. It doesn't necessarily mean he's still not a good player because it didn't work out in Dallas. I think the same way that people like L'Jarius Sneed and Charvarius Ward benefited from a system like Kansas City's, it could have hurt Kelvin Joseph and what system he was in Dallas. So we pull him over to this team with really good defensive back coaches that can develop guys. Let's see what he can do. I think he'll definitely give a run to make this squad. There's a lot of good cornerbacks on our team. There's only so many slots, so it's going to be a really fun position to watch them battle during training camp.
Yeah, the training camp is going to be nice. We also brought in Miles Battle from Utah. Everybody's big on Miles Battle. We were big on Kamal Hadden. They drafted him. Steve, we still think it's going to be a Josh Williams breakout year coming here. We believe that. We firmly believe it. We also think Nick Jones can push. There's just several DBs back there. We even think Chamari Connor can get out there and play the nickel if he needs to. This is an embarrassment of riches for the Chiefs in the DB room, and this is why we said you don't really have to hang on to L'Jarius Sneed. And that's not saying these guys, Sneed beats them one-on-one all day, every day. Don't get us wrong.
Right.
But when it comes to paying them and it comes to the talent back there, we kind of have to go about it and see what we have in our own room. And I think Brett Veach he's putting on a display of how to draft corners late in drafts.
Absolutely. And you didn't even mention, obviously, Trent McDuffie, who's the best guy on our team as far as corners go. Potentially, probably a top 3 to 5 corner in all of football right now. He actually made the top 10 list of players under 25 in the NFL. The only other cornerback on that list was Sauce Gardner. And then you didn't mention Jalen Watson. This is a guy that a lot of Chiefs Kingdom and people outside of Chiefs Kingdom think will take that cornerback 2 spot, but I think they're sleeping on Josh Williams, which you agree with me on that, Mike. But however, Jalen Watson did flash big time in his rookie season. He had that pick 6 against the Chargers to win the game. He did a lot of other things very, very well. So I think he will push Joshua Williams for that CB2, but I really like what Josh Williams has to offer, man.
Me too. I missed a lot of DBs back there. I want to give a shout out to Echo Boy Doe, by the way. K-State guy that come in, made the team, was on the practice squad a little bit. Shout out Echo Boy Doe. Spags, Dave Merritt. They've got a nice situation there. Let's move on.
That time's yours.
Time's yours, Steve.
Time's yours, Chiefs Kingdom, not
Time's
Steve.
yours, Chiefs Kingdom. Here's what we do. We like to throw out some opinions. We want to see what the kingdom thinks about things. So we threw up who's about to have a breakout season, Steve? Felix, Deneric Prince, Chamari Connor, Lewis, Reese Zammit, and Chiefs Kingdom has spoken. Felix and Udika Uzoma, 44%. Chamari Connor in second, Lewis in third, Deneric Prince down there at fourth. Steve, would you switch anything about that?
I'll tell you what, I do think that Felix has a good shot of having a breakout year. Chamari Connor is a good pick as well, but I think we already saw what Chamari Connor could do last year. He was a solid safety last season, and people noticed it. He was talked about in the sports media. You know, people don't really bring up players that the Chiefs have on the back burner usually, or just, you know, we talked about Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams and stuff like that. They never got talked about as much as Chamari Connor did last year. I think it was because he had really high PFF grades and he made some plays. But yeah, I think we already know what he can do. So Felix, he didn't get his chance last year. I think he did in small doses, but he just got thrown into the fire, and then all of a sudden it was pulled away when Charles Omenihu came back. I think this is the year that he can prove that he's worth a 32 overall draft pick.
100%. Casey is better 15 says Chamari, about to be the next Sneed. That's a good take. That's a pretty good take.
It is a good take. Mike, we talked about Chamari Connor when they first drafted him. We weren't sure that they were going to put him at safety at all. Me and you talked about it, and we were like, look, we already know they're not going to re-sign L'Jarius Sneed. Is this the kid that they have to mold into his spot? Because I do think that there's a good chance Connor could slide down into that nickel corner position this year and not just play safety.
Yeah, Chamari, when he was coming out of Virginia Tech, if you watch this film, he'd done everything that Sneed would do. Slim is chillin' 7753 says, Felix, if you watched the film last year, you'd be excited about him too. Bro is so explosive, no diddy. Slim, you gonna hit him with the no diddy out here?
No diddy.
Come on now. C-Dot and Rob on 610 Sports Radio was trying to play him, saying he could be a bust. Hal, look at the film. Man is about to go off. Look. Come over here and get your news from us.
Yeah, 610 Sports.
But I would say this, Steve. There were times last year.
What's that?
there were times last year that I did think Felix was underperforming to what I thought he should do. Then I think when it all comes back, I'm like, look, you've got to let defensive ends have a little time to develop.
Yeah, for sure. So Felix coming out of college, very, very polished pass rusher. We really liked him. I thought he was deserving of that last pick in the draft. A lot of people thought they just took him to make a splash. The draft was in Kansas City. They took the hometown kid.
Yeah.
They thought they missed their player in Anton Harrison or Dalton Kincaid or a lot of other players people thought they were eyeing, and that he was a backup plan. I'm not so sure about that. They still need some extra help at defensive end. In your opinion, you talked about that the other day, that you feel like it's a little thin. I think they drafted him on purpose. I think that he was a damn good player coming out of college. I think that he can develop, but not everybody's going to come out right off the bat and just be dominant. A lot of people are slow burners. I mean, even guys that were taken, way earlier in drafts as far as defensive end goes. If you look back at the year before that, Kayvon Thibodeau was taken at pick number 5 overall. He didn't do much his rookie season.
Trevon Walker took him a whole year as well.
So I think that Felix definitely has the potential to do it, and he's been working really hard this offseason. He's even been doing a lot of stuff with Tom Brady, much like George Karlaftis did after his rookie season, and look how much it helped Karlaftis. He took a huge step from his rookie season to his second season. So I think we can see Felix do the same thing.
I agree. Yanni0728 says LRZ is going to be electric in the open field, Steve. We just talked about Reese Zammit. He's got an uphill battle to make the squad, Steve, but we like how he's approaching it.
Absolutely, man. Louis Reese Zammit, he's got the right mindset. This kid knows it's an uphill battle for him to make this squad. He knows it's not very good chances. Mike, we gave him 20%, and that's probably being generous, to make the 53-man roster.
Yeah.
He knows he has to learn the game. He knows he has to learn how to run routes. He knows he has to learn the ins and outs of this thing. He's a damn rugby player. He's never played American football. So I think he knows that, and he sees it that way, but he wants to do it, and he loves the game. So I think he's going to be learning it. He's going to be paying close attention, and he's got all the intangibles, Mike. It don't matter how many pads you stack on top of that kid. You're not going to remove his 4.3 speed. This kid hit 24 miles an hour on a rugby play well into the match. He'd probably already ran miles at that point and hit 24 miles an hour. He's got tools, man. And if anybody can take those and get the best out of them, it's going to be Andy Reid and crew.
I 100% agree. We asked the Chiefs, who's the next corner to step up big with McDuffie this season to replace Snead? Josh Williams, Jalen Watson, Nick Jones, Najee Johnson. Jalen Watson got the nod there from Chiefs Kingdom. Tomahawk Choppa says Nick Jones, without a doubt. And then KL368 says the advanced numbers say Williams. Fan base says Watson. Maybe neither. Steve, who do you think it's going to be? Because I think we think it's Josh Williams, man.
I think it is too. A lot of people think Jalen Watson, for the reasons I mentioned earlier. He flashed. He had some big plays his rookie season. They used him a lot more his rookie season than people even thought. Mike, we talked about him when they first took him in the 7th round, that he might not even make the 53-man roster that year. He might be a practice squad guy. Hell, he started half the games his rookie season. So I fully understand why a lot of people think he could have a little breakout year here, replace Snead. But if you pay close attention, like KL said, shout out KL, the numbers say Joshua Williams. Not only the numbers, but the intangibles, the length, the speed. He's got all of it, man. And if you watched him last year in small doses, he was already playing at a high level. So I think Joshua Williams could definitely be the one that steps in and takes that Snead role. Obviously, with McDuffie there, they might have him shadow some wide receiver ones for a while. I'm not for sure how Spags is going to go about that. But I do think Joshua Williams will be a big piece of that defense.
Yeah, Nick Jones, Najee both coming off some injuries. Nick Jones played a lot throughout the season, though. He played a lot of snaps, and he was a Dave Tobe favorite, did some special teams work. So Nick Jones, he's got a chance. I don't want to write off Nick Jones. I think he's got a lot of intangibles. Najee coming back from that knee injury, that might be a little sus for a few minutes, until he can figure out how to get back off that knee. Sometimes people don't do that too well, but we'll have to see, and we're excited about that battle in camp for sure. Who throws the most touchdowns in 2024 was asked, Steve. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. And, of course,
Loving
on
the
a Chiefs
pictures,
channel.
bro.
Yeah. On a Chiefs channel, you would think Mahomes would win. And he did. 84%. 84%.
Mike, anyone in their right mind is going to pick Mahomes.
Right.
There.
North 39 said this made me chuckle hard. Thank you.
You're
Ricky
welcome.
the Don, content gold. And they're totally referring to the pictures.
Yeah, bring it back
right?
up. Bring it back up. I want to see the pictures real
Look,
quick.
Nick says, love this. Voted Mahomes before I realized that the other QB's pictures were fake.
Get it back. Let's take a look at this. So we talked about the Josh Allen. You said Tim McGraw.
A
Is that
young,
this?
yeah, like a Tim McGraw.
So like I kind of see it there, but the one that's completely uncanny is Lamar Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson. L could maybe stand for Lamar. I'm sure it don't, but it could. And then Lamar, he could be his illegitimate child. Look at that. It's insane. And also Joe Burrow. Everyone knows that he's Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. We also had one here from, you didn't have to disrespect my Joe Burrow, says Kings. Like that. As a diehard Cincinnati Bengals fans, I take that personally. Steve, do you have anything that you'd like to say to this cat?
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do about it? We do what we want here. We don't care about Joe Burrow, and we don't care about your feelings. So get over it, brother.
Get over it. And just to let you know, that's the guy
God
you
bless.
idolize right there.
Look at those locks. What's
Look
he
at
doing?
Here we go. Moving on. How many touchdowns will rookie Xavier Worthy score his rookie season? 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 plus. 5 to 6, 48% there.
Like
7
it.
plus at 25% coming in hot. You'd think this was a Chiefs channel again, Steve. Tom Brady deflates, beautiful name, says, I mean, since the Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl again, you're going to have to take the over. Replica Clone says 14 and wins Rookie of the Year.
Good
and then we've
Lord,
got
14.
Tig Karn says, I'll come back and answer this when we find out how many games Rashee Rice gets suspended. I think that might
like
be
it.
the smart way to answer that one.
Yeah, for sure. So Rashee Rice had the best rookie season of any Chiefs, like rookie wide receiver there's been, right? Pretty sure he broke records.
Yeah.
Do you really think that Xavier Worthy's going to come in and break those records the next season?
Right. He may be more of like a decoy, just to let the middle of the field open itself up a little bit.
I don't know. I kind of picked the 5 or 6, and I think that makes the most sense. And that's going to be a good season from Xavier Worthy. But there is a chance he could go 7 plus. I mean, if he really fits into this offense and he progresses fast, and then Hollywood Brown takes a little bit of heat off of him, I think that he could have that type of season. I mean, we saw what Rashee Rice did last year. Once you get that chemistry with Mahomes and Andy finds out how to use you, it's on from there.
It's possible. It's also more possible, like you said, if Rashee Rice takes any suspension games this year, it's very much possible. Last one we got, Steve. Defensive rookie or UDFA that could make the biggest impact. Fabian Levesque, Curtis Jacobs, Kamal Hadden, Jaden Hicks. The winner goes to Jaden Hicks, and I think that was very, very smart, obviously.
Yeah.
Kamal Hadden again. Jacobs and Fabian Levesque got the longest way to go. Major
sure.
Chip Hazard says Jaden Hicks is a sure thing. Kamal Hadden, he got auto-corrected, is the one who is going to surprise some people because he's going to come out of nowhere and eventually become the Chiefs' starting corner opposite of McDuffie. Look at that call.
Ooh.
It's going to be like in 2019 when Mooney Ward took over the starting position out of nowhere, Steve. Major Chip with Colin Kamal Hadden. You're a big Kamal Hadden guy. Do you think he's going to take the starting job for the year's over?
I am a Kamal Hadden guy, but that's a little spicy. It's a little spicy there. I think Kamal Hadden has a chance to be a starting guy eventually in this league, but it's a tough room, dude. It's going to take a while.
Yep. A Distraction says Carson Still should have
Like
been on
Crocky
that list.
J, baby.
Crocky J. And then we also had Lewis Cuthbert coming in with his usual none of them. Way to keep it positive, Lewis. Way to keep it positive, Lewis. Last but not least, we've got Rez 1818 responding to our Andy Reid short responding to his Butker speech when he was being harassed by the reporter, right? And he says, well, basically, we put up a short. Go watch it if you haven't. But Rez says, I'm no longer a fan of your show since you guys have become political. Obviously,
What?
you're right-wing Trump fanatics.
What?
I thought you were covering football. Football?
What?
Yeah, well, we didn't say it. Andy Reid frickin' said it. Is he a Trump fanatic? And even if he is, this is America. We can all get along no matter who we vote for. Chill out and go back to the basement, Rez.
Yeah, that's
Woo.
ridiculous. Don't you love how we release a video of someone saying something and they automatically just attach you to it. But first of all, none of it has to do with politics. I don't know what's happening, Mike.
They make everything political. What did you have today for sandwich, Steve, for lunch? You had the turkey or the ham?
Mike, who's they?
Everyone.
Ask yourself that.
Ask yourself who's they. That's going to wrap it up for the day. Thank you guys for being here. Subscribe. Click that bell. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Chiefs.